and he sat right here and did a live call, and Austin and a few others were listening, and I got to get part of it. And after you left, I walked out, and Austin was like, "That's what he does? Is that what he does?" I said, "That's what he does." He goes, "I could do that. I could do that."
I've heard you give a mortgage protection presentation, and like I said, I was like, man, if he can do it sounding like that, then I can do it, right?
He didn't say it like that, Jason. He didn't say it.
Like, what is he saying?
He was in here one day, and he sat right here and did a live call, and Austin and a few others were listening, and I got to get part of it. And after you left, I walked out, and Austin was like, "That's what he does? Is that what he does?" I said, "That's what he does." He goes, "I could do that. I could do that." I'm like, "That's the point."
Yeah.
That's the point. So it was cool to see your reaction.
I was just like, there's no fluff. He's like walking them through it. Of course, this is the next step.
Of course.
Let me just get your banking information over the phone. All right, now we're going to move to this. And it was just like, this person just gave you their banking information over the phone. You've never met them. And then you were like, well, how do you buy stuff over the phone? I'm like, well, I guess I give them my banking information. But no, I want to dive into your presentation. Like, do you use a script? And what does the script say? Or what do you say if you don't use a script? What is that like?
Yeah, it's more of an outline. For new agents, they need somewhat more of a script, more like talking points, which is kind of what I have prepared for myself. I think it's extremely important to take a script and to put it in your own words, obviously, so you don't sound robotic. But also, for me, putting in your own words means you're actively learning it. So you're, writing it out more just like talking points for yourself. But yeah, just covering the necessities of it, making sure that, you're covering their purpose of why they sent this in, their need, their pain points. And then going into health, asking what kind of coverage they have in place now, some details on it. And typically, sometimes people are a little reserved about that, but I just explained to them that it's part of making sure that we make a good recommendation to you. So I'll just mention that I'm just going to be making a few recommendations, but just to get you the information that you requested. A lot of it is just keeping from sounding nervous on the phone and sounding confident. And I think that's what a lot of agents have a difficult time at first doing, is feeling confident enough to get on the phone. I call it phone jitters. And I think a lot of agents hold themselves up at first with too many excuses of why not to get on the phone. Because they feel like they didn't learn every single product and everything about it before they start doing it. And that's a mental block, mental barrier for sure. So it's important to make sure that you just get the core of the presentation and core knowledge of products, and just go dive into it.
When you have an agent, when you have a team member that does have phone jitters, like, how do you coach them out of that or bring them away from that? What does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, you can only lead them to water a lot of times. So it's, just touching base with them and making sure that they're, that they can accomplish those short goals that they give. So just say, what are you going to do for the rest of the day? Okay, then I'll check back in with you to see were you able to do that, and then give them another task that's a little bit further out than the shortest goal, to where I can make sure that they're keeping that consistency. So it's just starting off with just picking up the phone, making money, not making money. Keep it up.
Making money?
More like keep it, their headsets. So, I mean, you could do it with your cell phone, but it's easier to do with software.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in your, we brought this up earlier, but what are ways that you build trust over the phone in your presentation?
I've learned some things along the way working with, different scripts and processes and training videos I've watched. And it's important to, get those concerns and possible objections out of the way in a smooth process, like give them your license number. Before you start asking them questions on the application, I'll say, can you grab a pen and paper? I'm going to give you my license number with the Department of Insurance for that state that they're in, and then give them, phone number, address if you want. It's usually just phone number and full name, and 2 phone numbers, full name, and license number. That's what I usually give. And then
that's before you get into...
Before I ask their middle initial, but right after that, I'll go straight into it.
Yeah.
So it's you got to be. I'm all about the tippy toe into it. Just like, okay, so I got that far, with the social. Now I'm going to go through and show them I know what I'm talking about by asking just the basic questions and using Google as my friend. Make me sound like a Google doctor. So, oh yeah, that one's for blood pressure, right? And that one's for fibromyalgia, right? How do you know that? So, over time you'll learn it.
Right. And I mean, that it's a great benefit that you have when you're doing telesales is, if you were in the home, I doubt you're pulling out your phone and Googling
you're pulling out your underwriting guide.
Right, exactly.
You're pulling out your underwriting guide in that case. And in a lot of cases, I know
that's
your
been
team
super helpful.
Use an underwriting guide as well, where you can just grab that and reference it. It's cool to listen to you go through your process, because we teach the 5 fundamentals of the no-close presentation, right? And I've watched Jason do his process. And it nails all 5 of those: establishing belief, transferring belief, establishing trust, becoming an educator. You heard that. I ask good questions, and then I show them what I know. I teach them what I know. It's becoming an educator. And then covering the stakes, what there is to gain, but what there is to lose if they take action or if they don't take action.
Yeah, it's been really helpful having you go through those things like on your podcast, because it helps me make sure I'm not missing anything and that I'm covering all the bases.
Yeah.
So it's I've learned a lot from the podcast.
I've loved listening to you, how you even give the options. How you give options so that they feel like they're in control and they're making a buying decision. You're not selling them.
Right.
And then when you prevent that final solution, you're presenting it from an authority position. And it's usually the one they go with, because you've walked them through and eliminated most of the other things. You've led them to decide on the one that is the best, which is what you were going to present, after you discovered what their need was. So it's cool to see your process on the phone. It's not just a face-to-face fundamentals of sales. It's fundamentals of sales, whether you're face-to-face or over the phone.
Yeah.
But you become a master at doing it over the phone.
Yeah, making sure they are participating. That's huge, because when you're not there front door knocking and they're guiding you to a table, they could be, you don't know what they're doing. They could be working on their car and have a cell phone. Yeah, go ahead and tell me so what is it? How much does it cost? You got to slow it down, making sure that you stay in control. Say, hey, I just want to make sure I'm doing this the right way for you. Who else is this for? Are you married? Making sure both people there don't do one-legged appointments. They're too easy of an out, So it's, I'll have them grab a pen and paper. If they're driving, I'll have them pull over and write the stuff down.
Jason's selling life insurance to people while they're driving on the freeway. Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah. Let's be safe. Just pull over on the side of the interstate, and we'll get this written up.
Pull over before you give me your bank card, before you give me your social and your banking information.
Just make sure that they're participating. When they're writing these things down, and I'm telling them how to write it down on a piece of paper, like at the very top, write down 70,000. Below that, put 60 and 50.
This is why I knew you were going to be good at the podcast, because you're already doing this in an audio only format.
Correct.
Like, all right, so on your paper, you're going to draw a line, and on top of that line, you're going to write this, and to the bottom left.
I know. I still feel like I have a lot to learn, and I like to surround myself with other successful people like you all, and making sure that I'm growing as a person too. Making sure I have a coach, and you all give me some great insight to what breaking down my system and showing me what I have done and where I can improve on.
Yeah. It's been fun to watch you, man.
Yeah.
When you're on the phone, when I was listening to you, it was such a matter of fact. This is the process. I mean, it was soothing almost in the way that you're talking to your prospects of just. So you moved into your house, and then you would go into core, and then you bring it back. I'm like, okay, well, so that mortgage, I see here that you had it with this lender for this amount, or to your participation, you know the answer, but you ask them just to keep them engaged.
Rhetorical questions.
Exactly. So just watching your process was awesome. I think a question that a lot of agents have is, what are some of the objections that you're getting, and how are you addressing them?
Hey, Austin here with Life Insurance Academy. We hope you liked this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and make sure you hit the subscribe button. It's somewhere around here. But hit the subscribe button. We got a lot more videos coming for you. In fact, this video is just a little snippet of the full podcast episode. So if you want to hear the full conversation and dive into those great tips to grow your business, click on the link in the description or search Life Insurance Academy wherever you get your podcasts. Spotify, Apple, Pandora, they're everywhere. But thanks so much. We'll see you in the next video or on the podcast. See ya.